It is a very exciting day, everyone. I am finally able to play Kerbal Space Program 2 at home in my own house on my own PC. And I can start producing Kerbal Space Program 2 content for you guys in a less stressful manner than what I've previously doing, which was trying to build as many missions as I could in a single 3-hour long play session, which I think I got a good amount of content. But I think now we have all the time in the world to make things. I should be able to get some nice bespoke content for you guys. But first things first, as you can see, I got to set up my first agency with Lowne Aerospace, the first one in Kerbal Space Program 2, the second one. And I can't have a custom flag. I did try and put my custom flag or a custom flag into the game, but there's no folder you can drag and drop PNG files, so it's a work in progress. But for now we're gonna have to use a default flag. But there we are. I've set everything up just how I like it. And speaking of setup, you guys may be wondering, what am I running? Well, I've got a pretty beastly PC. I've got an RTX 4090 GPU, and my CPU is a 5950X. So I've got a pretty capable rig. So I've decided to go for the very ambitious goal of running the game at maximum settings at 4K. As you'll see, the game does still chop a little bit for the most part, so far at least. Yeah, this is the first video I've done, right? So far at least, it's not been too bad. Now, I was set out to have the very big goal of let's build an interplanetary SSTO as the very first craft I build. I've built mod SSTOs before. Let's just build something like that and see how far we get. Now, obviously, SSTOs in Kerbal Space Program 1 were quite not easy, but they were pretty trivial because the nuclear engines shared the same fuel type as the air-breathing Rapier engine. So it's quite easy to build a nice, efficient craft. Not the case this time. In Kerbal Space Program 2, the nuclear engines require hydrogen fuel, which is a different fuel type to methane, which is the fuel that the Rapiers need. So it's like balancing 3 lots of different types of fuel, right? You got methalox to power the Rapiers in closed cycle mode, hydrogen to power the nuclear engine, and methane. And in addition to this, hydrogen is not very dense. It's not as dense as liquid fuel was in Kerbal Space Program 1, as I found out. You might see me building a craft on screen. Let's just fast forward to the launch. Here we go. Okay, yes, I concede. The performance is not great. I am again running max settings at 4K, which is not helping my case. I can actually speed this up though with the power of video editing. That's right, guys. Man of the people right here. I will suffer through low frame rates to bring you guys the highest quality 4K maximum graphics videos, because I can just speed up the frame rate right in post so it looks smooth. It kind of messes up the audio, but it looks smooth because this is what I'm used to, guys. I started playing Kerbal Space Program 1 on a laptop from 2012, a second-hand laptop, may I add, from 2012. It had a GT640M mobile graphics card, and it was awful. And recording gameplay back then was even harder because I didn't have Shadow Play or anything. I had Fraps. And Fraps, for anyone that remembers using Fraps to record stuff, that tanks your frame rate anyway. So I would record stuff in that game and it would literally run sub 10 FPS 90% of the time. I would often see the Fraps counter drop to about 4 frames per second on launch. It was so bad, I had my laptop on my desk, and then next to the laptop was a TV and a GameCube plugged into the TV. And I would just sit there playing GameCube games, occasionally just reaching over and tapping D on the keyboard just to help steer the rocket. Then I go back to playing Ultimate Spider-Man or Simpsons Hit and Run or whatever classic video game from the GameCube era, of which there are, of course, many. Getting sidetracked though, as you can see, we didn't have that much Delta V. When we made it to space, I'm like, oh, yeah. So as I feared, hydrogen is not a very dense fuel. So I only had 1,000 meters per second of Delta V. So I could have maybe done a Minmus flyby, but that's about it. So I reckon with some optimization of my design, I could probably get a Minmus SSTO to work. But for right now, it's a work in progress. So I thought, let's go back to the drawing board. What else? What other crafts do people like? Everyone loves the space shuttle, right? So, hey, let's get to the subject of the video's title and thumbnail. 5 minutes almost into the video. You know me, guys. I guess going forward for the Kerbal Space Program 2 content, I probably will make my videos a little bit more focused, but I feel like a lot of you guys right now just want to see as many KSP creations, KSP2 creations, I should say, as possible. So I'm really densifying the number of craft featured in videos. So yeah, I don't know. Do you guys like this sort of thing where I show more than one mission, or do you like kind of how I did KSP1 videos where it was just like one focused point? I think for me, I prefer having the focused mission. But like I say, I know you guys want to see me build SSTOs. That's where I am with SSTO technology right now. It's a bit, don't know what I'm doing, basically. While I'm still sort of vaguely on the subject of how I'm doing this particular video and maybe kind of the next few to follow versus how I plan on making Kerbal Space Program 2 content long term, I'm not playing the footage back for the build for the space shuttle as fast as I probably will when I eventually start playing the game. And I figure that a lot of you kind of want to see the build. I mean, my channel, Kerbal Space Program 2 content on this channel is in early access, you might say. I'm going to work with the feedback from you guys, seeing what works. Do you like kind of the footage being sped up? I know the previous KSP2 videos I've done, the footage hasn't really been sped up all that much, so you guys can get a feel, and so I can really maximize the amount of footage I got for my 3-hour-long playthrough. Do you like the time-lapse builds like this, or would you prefer me to just slow down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing? Especially for a build like this, the space shuttle, which is a fairly challenging vehicle to build, especially in a game where, you know, you've not really played the game before. But that was the build there. I hope it was fairly self-explanatory what I did. I'm just putting a dummy payload in it for the moment. It's just a couple of crew cabins and some SAS wheels, obviously, to keep the shuttle on path. But we will be doing a second launch after the test flight with an actual space station payload. And things, they happened. Let me tell you, things happened, and that's all I will say. But yes, twists, turns, turmoil ahead, all very exciting stuff. But hey, here's the space shuttle. It's starting to look like a space shuttle, right? It's coming together. Here you can see you playing around with the SRBs though, and this is kind of a point of contention I have with KSP2 over KSP1. In KSP1, you can hold down shift and offset things beyond the default distance. Can't do that in KSP2. So I attached these SRBs to those decouplers, and I wanted to shift them down so that the decoupler was towards the top of the SRB, so that when they separate, they get flung away from the craft really nicely. But I couldn't offset the SRBs down far enough in KSP2, only by like a couple of meters. So I had to just leave it so that they were attached basically at their midpoint, and I had to shift the decoupler itself down to get the SRBs to a desirable height on the stack to make this look visually nice. And speaking of making it look visually nice, I'm having a blast with the old color palette thingy. You know, you gotta make the external tank orange, right? You gotta. But then I was just playing around with a few different color schemes for the actual orbiter itself, and I thought I'd keep it simple, right? Go for the classic NASA white color scheme, and also, you know, white's good because it reflects the heat and stuff. But we've got to have the Go Faster red racing stripe, because of course you got to have the Go Faster red racing stripe. Anyway, I think as far as kind of a prototype first iteration of the vehicle, that looks pretty good. But here we are, guys, on the launch pad. Let's begin the countdown. As you can see, a perfect first launch. Yeah, I don't really know what happened. The staging, I don't know what happened, basically. But here we are in the vehicle assembly building, because I realized I'd forgotten to add some rather crucial things to this space shuttle, namely lots and lots and lots of struts. Wobbly rockets, unfortunately, return in Kerbal Space Program 2. In fact, they feel wobblier than they did in KSP1, but that could well be because we don't have auto strut this time, so yeah, that's a bummer. But auto strut, I'm told, is being worked on, so it will be a thing at some point. And here you can see me adding a fuel. Actually, I've already added it now, but I added a fuel line from the big external fuel tank to the Methalox tank on the shuttle. That way, the shuttle only draws fuel from the orange external fuel tank until the orange external fuel tank is completely drained, and then it will drain from its own fuel tank so we can detach the orange tank. But as you can see in this test flight here, that didn't happen. It only drained fuel from the fuel tank that the fuel line was attached to. The other fuel tank in the external fuel tank piece didn't drain. At least it didn't drain fully along with the other fuel tank in the orange piece. I don't really know what to call it. It's an external fuel tank, but it's got two fuel tanks in it. So it's like, is this a bug? or do you need to add a fuel line to every single individual fuel tank? Really, really weird. So I decided to just try and start transferring the fuel around so I can make things work, and then after I unpaused the game, the shuttle just started spinning out of control. I can speed the footage up. As you can see, I just couldn't recover it from this roll. So I went back to the Kerbal Space Center's... I went back to the vehicle assembly building once again, this time adding a second fuel line from the second fuel tank of the external fuel tank piece, and ran that to the Space Shuttle Orbiter's fuel tank as well. I don't know if there's like a fuel priority setting I didn't check. I'm new to the game, so I'm looking for feedback down below. My skills are in early access right now for Kerbal Space Program 2. But yeah, this is the solution I came up with. Yeah, I gave the launch clamp a friendly little boop there. I didn't quite get my thrust weight ratio completely right upon lift off, but in my defense, there's currently no way of viewing thrust weight ratio, I don't think, in Kerbal Space Program 2. So hopefully that gets added soon. Here we are on our merry way, and yes, this isn't going to be another failed flight. We are going to make it to orbit this time around. Now, there were a lot of failed launches that I haven't shown you because I don't want this video to be as long as my other KSP2 videos. I want to get back to kind of a slightly more acceptable, socially acceptable length videos. You can watch it on your phone, like while you're waiting for like a doctor's appointment. You can watch it on your phone on full blast in the waiting area. You know, annoy everyone, but it gets my brand out. You know, everyone hears the name Matt Lowne, and they're like, "Oh, subscribe for KSP2 content." So please do that. And I really want to get the word out that my name is Matt Lowne. It's not Matt Lowne, all right? There was a lot of videos from the ESA S-Tech event, and everyone was like, Scott Manley was there, Tim Dodd was there, and Matt Lowne was there. And I'm like, guys, it's loud. I told you in person, Tim, you keep getting it wrong. And we're not friends anymore, all right? You beat me at Dance Dance Revolution. I'm salty about that. So let's just change the topic away from you forever, and let's look at this beautiful SRB separation of the space shuttle. Oh, the SRBs missed the wings by millimeters there, and they missed themselves by millimeters as well. I probably should have added some separatrons, but guys, I was just so excited to launch finally. You know, it was a big moment when the Clydesdale booster was added to Kerbal Space Program 1 because that gave us correctly scaled SRBs. But now we have correct coloring as well for that big external fuel tank. We have an orange fuel tank, guys. We also have now red Go Faster stripes on the space shuttle, and we have an incomplete heat shield. So, you know, you got to take your wins and your losses here and there. And now I'm just waiting for the big moment where is the fuel flow going to work properly? As you can see, only one tank is draining so far, and I kind of want both of those S4 tanks to be draining together. So it's a big moment. So the first S4 25-600 tank is about to empty, and, well, the other one's now draining as well, but it's also draining along with all of the other space shuttle tanks. So the second fuel line kind of made it better, because that fuel tank is draining way faster relative to the space shuttle's tanks. But I want it to drain exclusively and not have the space shuttle tanks drain at all. So is it a bug? Am I doing something wrong? I don't know. But it turns out we didn't really need all of the fuel inside the external fuel tank anyway. We have loads of fuel to spare, and our apoapsis is now 92 kilometers. Periapsis is 50 kilometers. Now is an ideal time to detach that big orange piece, you know, the external fuel tank comprised of two separate fuel tanks. So I've got loads of time now just to transfer the remaining fuel in the external fuel tank back into the orbiter, and we can do that using the resource manager. I'm playing the footage back at normal speed now so you can get a sense of what do you think of this. I think this is really good, actually. So we've got the S4 25-600 tank there. We just press that to out, and then everything else automatically gets set to transfer in. And yeah, it was really easy. I didn't have to swing the camera around the orbiter and the vehicle for ages, individually right-clicking every single fuel tank. Then you accidentally click a battery or a nose cone and it messes everything up. So you got to then right-click somewhere else and then start again. The resource manager, great. Now, this is the first time I've used it, pretty much. So I don't know how well it's going to work for things like if you're re-entering with an SSTO, for example, it's not very well balanced because you're an idiot and you didn't test it. Not like I'm speaking from experience or anything. And you have to pump fuel around the aircraft to make it more stable. I don't know how well Resource Manager would handle that because all the fuel tanks, it's not very clear which is which. But, you know, first impression. I like it. And I hope you like this space shuttle here. You know, it's they're always pretty fun vehicles to fly, right? I like a challenge, you know, from time to time. Sometimes I like it just to be easy and everything work, but space shuttles, I don't know, I got a bit of a soft spot for them. Here we've switched to our monopropellant engines, simulated. These, if we wanted to do an accurate US style space shuttle, these would be, you know, powered by monopropellant, those Terrier engines, rather than Methalox. But the monopropellant engines kind of suck, and the Terrier engines, well, they're just okay, aren't they? So we're using Terrier engines. This is not a recreation of the US space shuttle. So before anyone comments down below, oh Matt, the space shuttle should use the monopropellant for the orbit. Well, there you are. There's your explanation. All of that as if it wasn't obvious that my space shuttle has go faster red stripes, you know, and only the cockpit has a heat shield. But now it's time to go on EVA, my first ever in space EVA. I made an SSTO video that you guys probably seen, but I couldn't get on EVA because I blocked one of the hatches. Well, I blocked the hatch with a canard. Now, I did actually have another hatch that I could have used, but I forgot. I was under a lot of pressure. But now I'm not. Now I've got all of the time in the world. And speaking of the world, there it is below us. That was a tenuous segue, but yeah. Oh, doesn't that look good? Doesn't that look good? The graphics of this game, you know, they, I admit, there are some rough spots. I think overall, considering everything, modded KSP 1 looks better than KSP 2. But there are some things in KSP 2 that just do look better than modded KSP 1. And one of those things are the Kerbals. Look at him! Isn't he just adorable? Oh, look at him. Oh. And his spacesuit as well. I wasn't sure about the spacesuits when I first saw like the concept art, but you know what? It's definitely, I like it. I will say though, it is a shame they don't have lights on the spacesuits. I thought those little like ears, for want of a better term, would be lights, but there's no light on the EVA suit. Hopefully that gets added in an update. Anyway, I'm going to drop the footage back down to real-time speed because as you can see, I was in awe. I was moved by this Kerbal, and I think I also got up to go get a drink or something, and then I forgot I hadn't paused the game. So we drifted a bit away from the space shuttle, but hey, this gives me a good opportunity to show you guys this. Volume up. Whoever is in charge of sound design in this game needs a raise. The sound design in Kerbal Space Program 2 is absolutely second to none. It is, without a doubt, some of the best sound design I've ever seen in a game. Maybe this is because I'm like so spoiled now because KSP1 had barely any sounds really. Now, let's face it, now we know the scope of the sound effects we could have. But just everything, like the little squeak of the rubber tires. I'm just actually interrupting myself here. There was a bit of a glitch. While I'm praising KSP2, I encountered this glitch where I couldn't time warp very fast, even when I switched to the tracking station. So I had to sort of, I mean, for you guys it's fine, because I can speed the footage up. But for me, I was having to sit here for a little while. I was just waiting for the Kerbal Space Center to be on the daylight side of Kerbin, so that I could, you know, land and I could see things. So yeah, there's a bug report channel for like us KSP exclusive people. Hopefully I've not violated some contract by saying that. And Nate has said, we are looking into this now. We're exploring this bug, seeing what's causing it. So rest assured, you know, every bug I've encountered, I've been posting it. Same for other creators. This is all before the release date of KSP2 for, oh my god, tomorrow for me. But we've been reporting bugs extensively. The team are basically cracking down as hard as they can on all the bugs we're reporting. So I'm hoping that a lot of things, I think, honestly, guys, it's going to be a rough month. There are a lot of bugs, you know, it's an early access game. So I think it's going to be rough, but I think it's going to get better fast. I have complete faith in this development team. They're super, super on it. After the 3-hour-long play session at the ESA S-Tech event, Nate Simpson came over to our table and he basically just got his phone out and said, right, tell me every single bug that you encountered. And he wrote it down, and like, he wasn't just texting his friends whilst we were talking to him. He sent us a little file, like, I can't remember exactly the context now. I'm trying to think. Anyway, I have seen the notes he took, and yes, they were extensive. The team have taken on every single piece of feedback that we've given them, including mine, which is like, we need more than one quick save. You know, we can press Alt F5 to have multiple quick save options, and also Auto strut. Like, wobbly rockets were really fun when I first started playing KSP 1. I was just trying to get to orbit. But now I, like, want to be able to do more stuff. Auto strut is needed because wobbly rockets, they kind of kill a lot of missions. So, yeah, auto strut and multiple quick saves for me were, like, my big... These need to be, like, very high up on the priority list. Oh, there go the wings. So the wings, they fell off, and that's because I loaded a quick save. I made a quick save, tried to land the shuttle, and it stalled. So I loaded that quick save, and then the wings, they left, and so that meant the mission was over, right? Because I didn't have multiple quick saves available to me. So yeah. Now I since learned after filming that you can actually access multiple quick saves. Every time you make a quick save, it makes a separate save file. So when you press escape and press load game, they're all there. But I do think that, like, an Alt F5, Alt F9 menu would be better, because then you can custom name those quick saves and you can kind of more accurately gauge when you made them, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's not perfect, but apparently there are multiple quick saves in KSP 2. So yeah. Anyway, here we are back in the vehicle assembly building. I thought, aside from the fact that the wings fell off and everyone died, that was a completely successful test flight of this vehicle. So let's go ahead and put it into active service. I did decide to make a couple of modifications, though. One modification, I added these, like, front canards, because the reason I had to make a quick load before the wings fell off is because the space shuttle kept stalling and flipping. So I thought I'll add some canards to the front to try and aid stability, which, you know, worked when we do the flight. But things do happen. It wasn't a completely, you know, plain sailing mission. So make sure you stick around and carry on watching the video. And hey, if you are enjoying the video so far, then don't forget to leave a little like down below and subscribe for more Kerbal Space Program 2 content. I also do space news videos as well every Monday. I didn't do one this week because I made a KSP 2 video on Monday. This has been a week of KSP 2 madness. I did say I was making a KSP video every day, which so far has been the case, right? I did one for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday was like an interview, but there was lots of KSP 2 footage in there, right? Friday was a live stream to, you know, for the release of the game, and then today, I mean, for me, it's not like the same day as you guys, but today this video goes live. So the 25th of February, my goodness, it was a great piece of commentary, wasn't it? There'll be this video, and then tomorrow, I don't know. Maybe I'll just make a short and just say, it's technically a video. So I technically was being truthful when I said that there will be a KSP 2 video every day of the week. And then going forward, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I will probably just I'll definitely do at least one KSP 2 video per week initially. And to be honest, I'll probably try and make a couple of videos for next week. I'll see how I go, really. I don't want to just get burned out on content, and then also I don't want to keep continually spamming you guys in your sub feeds with, like, KSP2 videos. Like, I'll probably want to die down my upload cadence a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. So I've built the space station. It's a what's the word? It's not an obelisk. It's a oh my gosh, what's the word for a space? It's like Skylab. Monolithic. That's what I was thinking of, obelisk, because, like, monolith, obelisk. It's a monolithic space station, just like Skylab, and just like Space Lab. That was the name of the space shuttle's space station thing, right? So on some space shuttle missions, they just put a lab in the back, in the payload bay, and that was like a laboratory, and it was like, I think it was called Space Lab. I gotta check this now. Oh, I'm aware that my views are a little bit higher at the moment, so people are looking to me as a source of authority, and I want to get this right. Space Lab, Space Shuttle, Space Lab Shuttle. Yeah, there you go. Space Lab was a reusable laboratory developed by the European Space Agency. There we are. I thought it was developed by ESA, to be fair, but I wasn't confident. But now you see, I've Googled it, and I can now confirm that for you. Anyway, here we are on the launch pad, which means you get to play the adorable countdown sequence once again. Let's go. Let's do this. Sorry, I didn't start talking right away because I was just listening to that listening to the sounds of that rocket go. It's amazing, the sound design. I love it. Oh, listen to that. Alright, I'll turn the volume down now and start speeding the footage up a little bit to get the frame rate nice and high. And we can continue with our ascent. Now, I think actually, I can't even remember now if I had to do this more than once. I filmed this a couple of days ago. I've been sort of editing it and commentating as I've been going along. So I started recording the commentary yesterday, but then I had to go to bed. So then I'm doing it again now today, which is actually, for me, it's 1:45 in the afternoon. So Kerbal Space Program 2 becomes available for everyone in an hour and 15 minutes. So an hour and 15 minutes, I'm going to have to stop recording my commentary and go and do my live stream. So yeah, it's all very up and going at the moment. I've got the day off. I took the day off work. This is the day I'm bringing this to you guys. I took the day off work so I can actually sit and live stream the game upon its release. So yeah, there we are. But yeah, oh, the visuals look so good. They're very dark actually as well. I don't know if I'm going to have to brighten the footage a little bit. I probably won't for this video. Actually, I'll bump it up a little bit. I'm doing a little bit of color correction, a little bit of sharpening up the edges of the image in post. So let me know if you think my color correction looks all right, if it needs a bit of a tweak. But I don't know if this still looks really dark going forward. I might add a filter for whenever it's a nighttime launch, or just, you know, I'm on the dark side of a planet or moon. I might artificially bump up the image brightness, because whilst it looks alright for me in my editing window, YouTube's video encoding system makes videos much darker, so that might end up making it too dark. Oh. Yeah, my SRB has booped my space shuttle and exploded. So yeah, that was a shame. Anyway, we are now just going to go to space. So I'm gonna keep my gonna try and get a nice high apoapsis and high periapsis using the orange external fuel tank, and then we're gonna stage it just before we reach a stable orbit so that we can finalize with just the orbiter, so that the orange tank doesn't get left in orbit and leave space debris and all that good stuff. Yes, we are carrying over that tradition from the first game, where I always try and avoid leaving debris in space, and on the odd time where I have to, we go back and recover it either in the same video or in a different video. Now, I've got the resource manager open there because, as you can see, it's not really draining the fuel like I hoped it would. You can see the orange fuel tank on the resource manager there is comprised of the two S4 25600 tanks. Those are the external fuel tank, and they're not draining at an equal pace, and the tanks on the orbiter itself are draining as well. So the fuel line hasn't worked. Basically, I don't know what's happening there. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to attempt anything like an Eve mission until fuel lines work reliably, or at least I figure out what I did wrong if it was user error, and we have auto strut. I just can't be bothered with wobbly Eve landers. I already did that in like 2014 or whatever it was, when I played the game and I wasn't very good at it and made wobbly rockets all the time. And now I'm just past that point in my life, you know? I'm already kind of playing the game at a lower FPS than I would probably like to. If I was just playing this game for myself, I would be playing it at a lower resolution, like 1440p probably, not 4K, and probably lower a couple of settings as well. But I want to make sure my videos look as good as possible, because the frame rate doesn't really matter for the video, ironically, because I can speed up the footage, so that resolves the frame rate issue. Yeah, as you can see, I detached the external fuel tank, and I just wanted to check my onboard fuel tanks now to make sure that they were completely filled with fuel. I was just saying that all of the fuel tanks were draining together, but I used the resource manager to pump all of the fuel from the external fuel tank back into the orbiter before I detached it, so that the orbiter remained full of fuel. It didn't really matter. I have way too much delta V in this thing. I have like how much delta V do I have? Oh, it says 0 on the staging window. That's good. I think it's like 1,000. I've probably got that wrong. I mean, it's like 1,000 when the payload bay is empty. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. It was 2 days ago. I don't remember. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. I skipped breakfast this morning. I wanted to get this commentary done. I had a Vimto Zero. The can is still on my desk. I've never had a Vimto Zero before. I remember Vimto like cordial from my youth. And I thought, oh, I've been interrupted by a moon. He's doing a little dance on the wing of a space shuttle. And now he's going to wait for it. Oh. I was like, no! When I was recording it. Yeah, Bob Kerman just sort of got krakened away. So who that developer in one of the videos said that they've slain the Kraken. he owes me a drink, that guy. The Kraken, unfortunately, still very much lives on. And yes, we're getting further and further away, despite my best efforts to, go full thrust back towards the space shuttle. So, yeah, Bob Kerman, he's just off on his own adventure now. We're gonna have to. That's right, guys. This was one of the things that went wrong in this mission. Now, don't worry. We're not going to leave. We're still getting further and further away. Oh, no. And he would use like a substantial amount of his fuel. How much is that? I've just noticed that little fuel gauge is segmented, isn't it? How many is it? 1, 2. It says it's 16. It's 16. I paused. I started counting it. Commented going 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, this is a terrible piece of content. I just paused the video, counted, and now I can report back that he has used 2/16 or 1/8, if you like. If you're a fan of maths like me, he's used 1/8 of his fuel. So we probably haven't got enough to just get back to the Brutus space shuttle. And I couldn't be bothered to do like orbital rendezvous because really, I was just excited to deploy my space station. So I've switched to the tracking station. Now we can switch to the space shuttle. Wasn't that fast. I didn't edit any of that, and that was being played at real-time speed. Switching vehicles in the tracking station is really, really nice. I love that addition in Kerbal Space Program 2. Anyway, this is something I don't like, and it's this. I undocked the docking port and destroyed the vessel. But the vessel is still there, right? We can actually go to the tracking station, and it's there. It's now called default name 12, obviously. Why wouldn't it be? And everything's still there, but I can I can still like fly it and stuff, but I can't, undock those docking ports. So they're like undocked. But as you can see, the struts that are holding the space station payload to the orbiter, there you go, are still there. You can't disconnect them. I don't think you can disconnect struts like you could in KSP 1 in mid-flight. But that would indicate that it hasn't actually decoupled. So I started moving the shuttle around to see if I could get the payload to sort of wobble out, but it's still very much attached, isn't it? And I know it's not like the devs haven't changed the behavior of struts so that if the struts are attached to a payload that's attached to the mothership via a docking port, not a decoupler, the struts won't remain attached. Does that make sense? So in KSP 1, if you were to just undock those docking ports, the struts would automatically disappear. That should still happen in KSP 2. I know this because I then went to the launch pad with my shuttle and tried undocking the docking ports while on the pad to see if this was just a glitch that happened mid-flight. So this is the exact same craft. I haven't made any modifications. Let's see if the docking ports can undock now. Oh, and it worked. Now that being said, can we just rewind that footage? Okay, just zoom and enhance on the struts there. Yeah, they're there. I can't actually see the strut itself. Like I can see the two strut anchors, but there's no visible line. Oh, maybe it was the struts. I'm just literally diagnosed this whilst editing this video. Anyway, after that bombshell revelation, I'm going to cut back to me in space. I did try many times to get that payload to deploy. I tried clicking different docking ports. I tried having an EVA Kerbal around, see if that did anything. Nothing I did fixed anything, unfortunately. So I had to abandon my dreams of deploying a monolithic space station from a space shuttle and just decided to return the entire vehicle and its payload back to the Kerbal Space Center's runway. So I guess this really was more like a recreation of the Space Shuttle Space Lab system rather than a recreation of any kind of real monolithic space station, because of course the Space Lab was never deployed from the shuttle. It just lived inside the shuttle service bay. Anyway, the cameras, I'm trying to figure out the cameras still. I think Horizon is the one I need. Like, I like the free cam in Kerbal Space Program 1. And I think free cam in KSP 2 is called Horizon. So now we're performing our deorbit burn. Our inclination actually needs to have a bit of adjustment done to it. But we'll do the old, periapsis apogee first, and then we'll worry about the inclination. So it's nice that you can see the Kerbal Space Center on the map screen. I know you can do that in KSP 1, but you couldn't from the beginning. One thing you can do in KSP 1 that you so far can't do in KSP 2, and rest assured, I have asked the devs about this, and they said they'll consider it, is that you can't right-click the Kerbal Space Center, or anywhere. You can't right-click it and set activate navigation, so you can see it on the nav board, so you know kind of where to point your craft when you're re-entering, which is kind of a bummer, really. I mean, it was a nice convenience in KSP 1, but I think it's a lot more necessary in KSP 2 because there's potential for the Space Center to be occluded by a layer of clouds. You can't really pick out any land masses below you to figure out where you need to go. So I think that would be a really, really useful feature to have in a future update. Now, before ultimately re-entering, I just wanted some closure. I wanted to see maybe it's fixed itself and I can deploy, but no, it once again, I'm doing the old air quotes thing, it destroyed the craft. So I had to abandon that and begin our re-entry phase. Now I will be playing the footage back quite fast, so I'll have to dip the volume, the in-game volume I should say, right down, because the music, I need to mute the music, you know. In KSP 1 I always have the music muted so I can manipulate the speed of the video and not have like that annoying buzzy like the music is great obviously, but when you're playing it back 4 times faster than normal speed, it has all these artifacts and it doesn't sound very good. So yeah, just sharing you guys some insight. This is what it's like for me as a film editor. These are highbrow. This is highbrow media. I can call myself a videographer, cinematographer. I'm also the chief photography director, commentator. I'm a one-man show. What can I say? But there's the Space Center's runway showing ahead. It's a little bit harder to identify the peninsula on which the KSC sits in KSP 2, because in KSP 1 the ground was a different resolution and a different shade of green to the rest of the land around the Space Center, so you could quite easily pick it out. And there was a mountain range behind it, and so you could just kind of follow the gap in the mountains and then you'd be lined up with the runway. I think the easiest thing to follow if you're struggling to see where the Space Center is from a distance is looking at the island. See the island just ahead? That's kind of a good sort of navigational waypoint to follow when you're re-entering with a space shuttle or an SSTO or space plane or whatever. Anyway, guys, this is a very exciting moment. We're approaching the runway, and the runway is very long. I love these runways. They are so much bigger and better than the runway in Kerbal Space Program 1. So we've got loads of time to make sure we're coming down at a nice, safe angle. We're also going a little bit fast, so I might do a little bit of a nose up in a second, just to make sure we're definitely going at a nice, safe velocity before touchdown. Here we go. Oh, maybe not just yet. 115 meters per second and dropping. I think we're probably okay right now. Let's dip back down. Oh, there we are. There we are. Almost faked you guys out again, but there we are. Oh, it's a bit of a wobbly steer. I think I might have forgotten to disable friction control on the frontmost landing gear, which, by the way, if you're wondering, that's how you can stop planes from spinning out of control on liftoff and takeoff. No, liftoff and landing. Liftoff and takeoff is the same thing. But there we are. The mission is done. The space shuttle is here. We can recover it. But of course, guys, the work is not done. The work is far from done. Because we need to deploy the
On a lonely planet slowly spinning its way to damnation, amid the incompetence and unpreparedness of lesser space programs, one team stands resilient against the herds, putting their lives on the line to aid those who are previously unaware of the quick save option. Yes, it's the incredible adventures of Jebediah and his crack team of Kerbinauts. They are the Blunderbirds, saving the Kerbin race one stranded explorer at a time.
Oh, I need to update the old Blunderbirds intro, don't I? To have KSP 2 footage instead of KSP 1 footage, but that'll be for a different day, I think. So yes, I'm gonna fly through this. Is that a pun? I don't know. Fly through this build time lapse of I don't know, Kerbal Space Program 1-esque looking rocket with the orange tank and the SRBs, and we're just gonna launch this thing into orbit. So here comes the countdown. I think that now the game is out for you guys, I probably won't keep on just showing the launch countdown in its entirety, because it's probably going to get a bit annoying. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you want to keep showing the launch countdown? Maybe when there's a mission with just one launch in it, it's fine. But for this mission, for this video, sorry, I don't even remember how many launches there've been. Maybe I should start just trimming the countdown out. Let me know what you think. Here we are launching, and I'm going to stop talking now for this magnificent piece of footage. How was that for a recovery? Yes, this rescue mission very nearly ended up needing its own rescue mission, but it's okay. We can press on. I did bring far too much Delta V with me, so if anything, that little flip maneuver, reduced the amount of fuel, so it made it look like I'd planned the rocket. Oh, I'm not even going to pretend, am I? But yeah, for anyone that watched my live stream yesterday, where I got the Kerbal Space Center into orbit, I've just done it. So when I was editing this video, doing the comment, I kind of do a bit of commentary with a bit of footage, then edit the next bit of footage, do the commentary for that, and that's how I've been doing my KSP2 videos so far. But then I added the Blunderbirds intro, and I had to close everything, rush off and set up my live stream. I've just done my live stream. And so yeah, now I've seen the community reaction to Kerbal Space Program 2. Oof. Yeah, I knew it was going to be rough. The game, it does take a lot of beef. It takes a beefy PC to run. My computer is about as beefy as you can build in current year, 2023, February 2023. Probably later this year there's going to be more things that outdate mine. But right now it's a 4090, it's a 5950X CPU. There are better CPUs, but I think this game is more GPU intense as opposed to KSP1. Yeah, it's interesting to see how the next week or so is going to pan out. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what people build, seeing how people have managed. If someone's already managed to build an SR-71 replica on the subreddit, it was amazing. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what people do. Who's going to pull off the first Joule 5, the first Eve landing? Won't be me. I can't face doing it right now without auto strut. And there's a lot of other quality of life stuff. Like we still don't have an orbital line that goes past celestial bodies, which just makes the whole thing annoying, really. So yeah, it's been a bit of a bumpy. It's been a bumpy launch. It's been a very Kerbal launch. And I don't know, so don't come to me asking, do I have inside information? Because all of the stuff that I knew, with the embargoes and all that, is all gone now. Like, what you guys know and what I know, that we are the same now. We have the same amount of knowledge and experience with Kerbal Space Program 2. So I don't know what you might have seen my interview with Nate and Chris, and they were talking about roadmap and what the timings were. I didn't cut anything out. I don't know what the timescales are for anything. I want to highlight something here, though, that's quite nice. Sound design. I landed on a mountainside, and it makes like a little clunk as I was just watching it. Like, oh, look, this is kind of cool. It's making noises. And then it exploded. I was just watching, I was like, oh no, it exploded. Luckily, I had made a quick save before I did that re-entry, so we can just quick load and re-enter once again. But yeah, it's been kind of a useful insight, sort of pausing my commentary for this video, seeing KSP2 launch to everyone, and then coming back and being able to sort of reflect on that. I can't remember what I kind of said in the first beginning part of this video, so I don't know how well the transition is going to work. It's kind of nice having the Blunderbirds intro to break it up, really. But yeah, I can't offer you guys advice on whether or not you should buy the game or not. I'm an incredibly biased source. I could never give you a fair and unbiased opinion, even if I tried. Even if I managed to pull off an unbiased opinion, who's going to believe me? So I can't say, if you should or shouldn't buy it. Look at the game, see my videos, see other people's videos. If you don't want to pay for this, don't pay for it. But do I think it's the same as Cyberpunk 77 or No Man's Sky? I don't. Because, we were allowed to release footage and opinions before the launch. Reviewers could release reviews before the launch. The devs have been very upfront that this is a very early access game. There's a lot of work that needs to go into it. A lot of features are missing. And it's an early access game. It's not releasing under the pretense that this is a complete package. So there's a lot of reasons to forgive its shortcomings. But I also understand the main contention, and that is the price tag of $50. It's a big ask. And all cards on the table, Kerbal Space Program 1 with mods looks better, runs better, and has more features right now. Those are the things you need to look at. This is what we have in front of us. For me, KSP2 is really fun. It's a fun toy, and I'm looking forward to playing it more and more. And I'm going to make more Kerbal Space Program 2 videos, and I hope you enjoy those videos as well. Made possible in part thanks to the names on screen. My patrons and channel members. If you want to join their ranks and see your name in lights, you can click that button on screen or in the description. And yeah, have you played Kerbal Space Program 2? What do you think of it? What do you think of this space shuttle, eh? I kind of stopped talking about the subject of this video, didn't I? Yeah, thank you everyone so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. I don't know if it'll be another KSP2 video or a space this week. I haven't figured out the plan.